Hey, this is Aaron Hobson with Red Hook Guitar. If you've been following along, we've been doing this little chord series, and we've talked about triads, we've talked about 7th chords, we've talked about sus4 and sus2, we've talked about ninths, add9, we've talked about 6s and 13s, and today we are going to do the 4 or the 11. Okay, so again, referencing the key of C because it's the easiest. We have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So that 4 or 11 tone is that F. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So we already talked about suspended 4. And a lot of people confuse suspended 4 with add4. So here's the difference. So suspended 4 we talked about earlier. I believe it was in lesson 7. C, E, G, C, E. I've got my C chord here. I took my third E, my major third, and I moved it up to an F. Alright, so now my chord doesn't have a third in it anymore. So that is called a suspended 4. Okay? The difference between that and an add4 is in an add4 chord, I'm keeping that triad, C, E, G, and I'm adding a 4 to it. Alright, so I could do that on the bottom here. I have this bottom F on the first fret, right? Sounds really nice in a finger style kind of thing, or so I've retained my triad in that and added the 4 to it. So, and now I have 1, the formula would be 1, 3, 4, 5 would be the formula for that. Okay, so now we're just going to go through and talk about all the open chords and adding a 4 to it. Okay, so here's my A. I have A, E, A, C sharp, E. I'm taking this E because I already have this E down here away, and now I have this open D, which is the 4 from A. And again, it's like a nice thing to add and take away from, right? So that's an A, add 4. Do it with my G. I have this B here, so I'm going to take this B away and move it to my C. All right. So now I have G, C, D, G, B, G. Okay. G add 11 or G add 4. Sorry. F. Here's my barred F. I have a C down here, so I'm going to take this C away to B flat, because B flat is my my 4. So I have an F11, or F add 4. Sorry, I keep confusing them. So it's easy to confuse. F add 4, right? Then D add 4. Got my, actually this one's going to be a fun one. Here's the most common way that people play it in pop and rock music. So I have my open C. If I move that a whole step up to D, now I have D, F sharp, G, D. Sometimes people like to add that E, which is the 9, which is kind of cool. So now you have a 9 and an 11 in there. So you hear it all the time. So like, if you listen to the Indigo Girls, Closer to Fine. And that's a really good song to learn for all of, a lot of the extensions we've talked about so far, because you have a G, you have an A11, you have a C add 9, you have a D sus 4, D sus 2, D. Tell you something about my life, maybe give me insight between black and white. Then it goes into this D11. Well, the best thing that you've ever done for me, D add 4, sorry, is to help me take my life less seriously. It's only life after all. So there's a lot of good extensions in there. So they call, actually a lot of people call this a D11, but it's actually a D add 4. So if you see a lot of these charts, they'll say D11, but it's actually an add 4. If it were an 11, it would have to have a 7 in it, right? And it doesn't have a 7 in it. So, well, actually, we'll get to that. We'll get to the difference between why it's a D add 4 and not a D11. Galileo is another song by the Indigo Girls where they use that. If anybody knows, wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. Jumper by Third Eye Blind. Cut ties from all the lies that you've been living. Well, they've got this little segue, right, that goes A minor, because everyone I know has got a reason. And that chord is that D add 4, right? So you see it a lot there's a lot of examples of that. And that's the most common way that people play it. They just take the C chord and they move it up a whole step to D add 4. And a lot of people call it a D11, like I said. It's kind of confusing. All right, so E. That'll be our last one that we do. E, B, E, G sharp, B, E. So what I'm doing is I'm taking my B away to that open A, and now I have this E add 4. Okay? Alright, so now we're going to do it with minor chords. A minor, I minor add 11. Alright, so I've got my regular A minor, I'm taking this E away to an open D and leaving this E here. So I have this A minor add 4. E minor add 4. So here's my E minor, I'm just taking this B away here and leaving that open A. Now I have an E minor add 4. D minor. Here's my D minor, I'm taking this A away. D minor add 4. Which is nice. It's kind of a nice chord. All right, so the difference, why is it an add 4 and not an 11? Well, we talked about why is it an add 9, the difference between an add 9 and a ninth chord, and the difference is in the 7th. So again, if it's a major 11, we're going to have the root 3rd, 5th, major 7, and then adding the 11. So here's my C major 7. We talked about this one in an earlier lesson with 7th chords, right? C, E, G, B, E. All right, so if I add a 4 to that, right, that's got an interesting tonality to it. These are kind of dissonant. In jazz, got these nice 7th chord voicings, but we're gonna do these all from the open position. So C major 11, A major 11. Here's my A major 7. We've got A, E, G sharp, C sharp, E. Taking away that one D, to that open D here, which is my 11. There's an A major 11. D major 7 is here. I'm taking this A away to the open G, now I have a D major 11. It's kind of a dissonant chord. Here's an F major 7. Putting into that B flat there. Now I have an F major 11. F, B flat, C, E. G major 7. Right? And then if I add this C, now I have a G major 11. E major 7. Taking away that B, now I have this interesting E major 11 chord. All right, so now dominant 7s, they're kind of fun to do it with, and you often hear these dominant 11 chords in a lot of Motown music and different pop and rock tunes. So these are coming from your dominant 7s now. So if I have my 1, 3, 5, flat 7, adding the 11 to the top. So these are all in the description too. So C, E, B flat, C. So here's my open C7. I'm going to add an F to that. Now I have C, F, B flat, C, and E. So C11. As Nigel would say, the amp goes to 11. The chord goes to 11. So here's my C11. A lot of people like to play it with this 9 on the top too. So now you have C9 and 11 together. So you got this really nice chord tone like Wichita Lineman, Glenn Campbell. Right? You got this C major scale run to an F major 7. And then the C major scale run to the C11 with the added 9 there. So that's a really nice chord progression. A11. So here is an A sus2. So while retaining that C sharp. Now I have an A11, so I have A, D, G, C sharp, E. All I did was take away my pointer finger off that E to leave that open D. Alright, G11, so here's my G7, adding that C here. Some people like to do it like this, which is really nice. So I have G, B, D, G, C, and an F there. Okay. Here's my F7. It's a barred shape here. This way too. F, B flat, E flat, A, C. So this is a cool chord. You can move that around. So it's an F11. D11, here's my D7. If I add that, take away that A and have a G there, now I have a D11. And then last but not least, my E11. So here's my E7. And again, I'm going to take away that A, that open A. So there's my E11. Moon Dance, Van Morrison. Right, that's a nice E11 chord. Okay, so minor 11, that'll be the last one we talk about. So we just take the minor 7, 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, and add the 11 to it. So we're going to do these with our open chords because that's the easiest way. So here's my A minor 7. I've got A, E, G, C, E. Taking off to the open D. There's an A minor 11. What's the song? The Rolling Stones, Miss You. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-da, ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. Okay. A minor 11. Da-da-da-da-da, ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba, to a D minor. So that's a nice chord there, minor 11. D minor 11. So here's a D minor 7. I've got D, A, C, F. Taking off that A, which is a nice chord. And then E minor 11 is so easy because it's nothing. It's all your open strings, right? I've got E, A, D is my minor 7, G, B, E. You can do that as like a passing chord. Nirvana, About a Girl. How's that one go? So I'm taking this, kind of using that as a passing chord, then going to the G, E minor 7, G. And there's one chord, here's an F sharp minor 7. I know we didn't get into like a lot of these shapes. If you're a beginner, you may not know this chord. It's the 2nd fret on the top string. I'm skipping the A. I've got 2nd fret on the D, 2nd fret on the G, 2nd fret on the B. So that's F sharp, E, A, C sharp. So that's a jazz, more of a jazzy shape. And if I take that C sharp away, I have this really nice F sharp minor 11 chord, and that comes up in a lot of things in the key of A. We talked about Fake Plastic Trees by Radiohead. Da, 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 da. Ba, da, ba, ba, da, da, da. So you get that F sharp minor 11. They also have another song called High and Dry. Don't leave me high, don't leave me dry. So you get this F sharp minor 11 to the A sus2 to the E. So there's a lot of between A and the key of A and the key of E. It's really nice to do that. F sharp minor 11 chord. It comes up in a lot of stuff. So anyway, that kind of completes the most major extensions that I wanted to talk about. The 2s and the 9s, the 4s, the 11s, the 6s and the 13s, 7th chords. We're gonna get into slash chords next, which are these little guys here. A lot of people see that and they go, what the heck is that? Do I play an A? Do I play a C sharp? What does that mean? And we will talk about slash chords, because they're very important for bass movement on the guitar. We will also be talking about a really easy one, just an added fifth to the chord. And that's already a chord tone. You just be adding it in an octave higher somewhere else on the chord. So there's a lot to talk about, as usual. And I hope these videos are helping. I know there's a lot of information. And I'm gonna, after I do the slash chords and the fifth chords, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from the chord series and do more on scales. We'll talk more about different types of scales for lead guitar and different types of keys, because we really only talked about the major key in the diatonic chord progression. You can also do it with the minor scale. You do it with pretty much any scale that you have. You can build chords off of it. So anyway, I hope that was helpful, and see you next time.